Well, I'm off this Sunday morning. We're working 6 days a week and we get one day off. So I'm going to share some of the information, an update on President Trump. Check this out. Here's the update.
This evening we had what we're calling an assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump.
Trump saying a bullet pierced his right ear. Also in the chaos, a man was killed and two more critically injured. The suspected shooter shot dead by Secret Service. This morning, police working to figure out a motive.
Only hours later, Trump arriving at Newark Airport overnight, then taken by motorcade to his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, where he will wake up this morning. Good morning on this Sunday. I'm Pedro Rivera.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Shirley Nalikat. We have a lot to get to on this busy Sunday morning, but here's what we know at this point. Overnight, the FBI identified the shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks.
I'm going to pause there. 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. You notice that they shot him dead, so he can't talk now. Man, if you Google this person and you look at his picture, it looks like something was really wrong with him anyway. But you guys tell me what you think in the comments, but we'll continue with this.
Authorities say he is from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Pittsburgh, about 45 miles, that is, south of where the rally took place. Police putting up this barricade you see here outside the street leading to his home.
The FBI has identified the shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, about an hour away. Officials say he perched himself with an AR-style rifle on a roof about 400 feet from the stage where Trump was speaking, and he fired at least 8 rounds before Secret Service counter-snipers returned fire and killed him.
We do not currently have an identified motive, although our investigators are working tirelessly to attempt to identify what that motive was.
I saw the man that was hit in the head, and there was a lot of blood, and I knew there was no way he was going to survive that.
A man in the crowd was killed, 2 others critically injured. Trump was grazed in the ear. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear, he later posted. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, he added, so I realized then what was happening.
Still not clear what the motivation was for this attack, but it is clear the Secret Service will have a lot of explaining to do for the fact that it allowed it to happen in the first place. Consider this. The shooter was able to scale the wall of that building, get on a roof, set up an assault rifle, and fire off 8 shots before he was stopped. A director of the Secret Service has already been called to testify before Congress.
All right here, I'm going to let you listen to Vivek Ramaswamy. I like him. I was thinking maybe he could be vice president or something within the administration. But check it out. Here go what he said this Sunday morning.
Vivek Ramaswamy to give us his perspective on what he thinks. Vivek, it's great to have you on the show. It's a horrifying day for the United States of America. I want your thoughts. When you first heard about this, what went through your mind? What's going through your mind now?
What's going through my mind now, first of all, is we heard the story of that person, an innocent, enthusiastic rally goer who was shot and killed. First, our heart goes out to them and our condolences goes out to that family. But I should say this, Trace, is that I personally believe that God intervened today, not just on behalf of President Trump, but on behalf of our country. If you think about this, 1 centimeter's distance in the path of a bullet was the future of not only Donald Trump's life, but I think the life of the United States of America. Imagine what we would be talking about today were it not for a hair's length difference in the path of a bullet. And I think that that's frightening. And I think that this is a moment for us all to step back. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, voting for Biden, voting for Trump, it doesn't matter. This is a moment where if one positive thing comes out of this otherwise near tragedy, let it be this, that first of all, we saw a president, a commander-in-chief, who in his most vulnerable moment, you saw it unvarnished. He stood up, he took the fire, he took the hit, and still stood up for the people who he stepped up to represent. And I think the other thing we have to take away is that this is unacceptable in the United States of America. This is not who we are, disagree or not. We settle our differences peacefully through free speech and open debate, not this way. And so if one silver lining comes out of tonight, let it be that. And I hope that we begin the process of healing as a country while avoiding what could have been a national disaster that really, without exaggeration, could spell the end of the United States as we know it had this gone a different direction.
Absolutely. Vivek, it's Martha McCallum here. I'm thinking about President Biden came out and made some comments. He may make more comments. We know they had a phone conversation earlier. He called what happened sick, and he said it's one of the reasons I want to unite this country. We've had a lot of vitriol, and I don't think it's, the politics, there's going to be a lot of politics starting this week, but what do you think the impact is as you look at where the country is right now? And given the fact that the last couple of weeks have been all about concerns that we see in polling over President Biden's ability to serve and his fitness.
Well, look, I'll give you a couple of tidbits that I've experienced even in the last few hours. I've had CEOs across the country from different corridors that would have been previously afraid to state their support for Donald Trump, or maybe even personally tepid about it, now coming in and asking, how can I help? I'm all in. These are exactly words of people who have contacted me alone in the last several hours, and I'm sure that's true of people across the country. The reality is I don't want to make this political tonight. This is not the moment for that. I will say that President Biden, who ran on the platform of uniting the country, had an opportunity even tonight to really rise to the occasion in a way that he fell short. I don't say this is criticizing him as a Democrat, but somebody who was rooting for a president to rise to the occasion immediately and not only offer the usual ritual incantation, the ritual condemnation of political violence, yeah, we got that, but a deeper heartfelt sense to say that, you know what, this is a man who I'm running against, but it is wrong that this should happen to anybody, and this is not who we are as Americans. And if I, as a U.S. president, have failed to create this environment in this country, then I will own that because the buck stops with me as the commander-in-chief. I don't think we saw that kind of message come from President Biden tonight. And for all of the discussions about how he came short up after the debate, I do think that even tonight was a moment for a man who ran on the platform of uniting the country to have fallen short in the way that he did. But this is less about criticizing President Biden and more asking the question of how we as Americans are able to say we're moving on. We're turning a page on a chapter of our history where we see our political opponents as our enemies. Let tonight mark the end of that, and if so, something positive, as you could imagine, at least something small positive that came out of this tonight, let it be that.
Vivek, you talk about rising to the occasion. I want to go back to what you were saying earlier there, which was the response of the former president after moments after he had been shot. And he got up and he said, I need my shoes. And then he stopped and he fist pumped a couple of times and he said, fight, fight. And the response was USA, USA, because that's the natural response. At all of his rallies, he talks about fighting. It's been a theme. And the theme is they're coming for you, but I'm in the way, so you got to keep fighting. What do you think about that response and that having the wherewithal to do that?
Well, look, I think those images we saw, our kids and our grandkids are going to be viewing that image in their history books. That was American history tonight and for the better. It was like the images of George Washington crossing the Delaware with the flag in the background. That's what we saw tonight. And it was one of those moments. Our founding fathers, they risked not only their fortunes, but their lives for this country. And I think this is one of those moments where we have a leader who has made a sacrifice. I'm personally grateful now more than ever for the sacrifices that President Trump has made. I'm grateful that God stepped in tonight to save him for this country.
All right, thanks for watching and subscribe to my channel. I got to go take care of a few things, get some clothes washed, wash my truck, and get ready for work tomorrow. Have a great day.